Okay, so now we're on to part 3 or part C, depending how you look at it, for the past relevant work little series. Okay, so we discussed how when you file a Social Security Disability or SSI claim, in the application, you're going to be asked about your prior work. And later on, as they start to gather more information, you're going to be required to submit another report. Generally, there are a few exceptions, and that's called the work history report. Very important. Make sure it's done very right and that you understand the relevance of each question. They need to find out your past relevant work because it's step 4 of the sequential evaluation process. They have to determine, the SSA has to determine if you, in your current capacity, are able to perform your old work. Obviously, you say you can't. It doesn't mean they're going to say you can't. So it comes down to a lot of technical stuff, a huge amount of medical. But this particular legal concept of past relevant work, it's important for you to know if you're a claimant, with or without an attorney, or maybe you're a representative and you're new and you're trying to wrap your mind around this stuff. So just a simplified version for me that I give my clients, so they have a basic understanding. So we went through the first 2 criteria of what makes past relevant work. And the goal here of sorts is to really know what it is and what it is not, so that if you have a job that would otherwise defeat your claim because it could be past relevant work, if it's not carved out by these 3 criteria, you'll be able to do that. There are so many times when a job is not past relevant work and shouldn't be considered and should not be allowed to be used to defeat a claimant. So the more you know about it, the less someone can make a mistake above and you not catch it and be able to get that switched around. So, okay, so the first 2 criteria that we'd gone over was the recency test, the 15-year rule, and that's a bit of a term of art. So you're going to want to go see that part A video under this little mini series. And the second part was the duration, how long you did an occupation and whether or not you did it long enough to count. Okay. And that will depend on the type of job and the SVP as laid out by the Department of Labor, Dictionary of Occupational Titles. So go to those sources to find out what your SVPs are. The last thing that makes something PRW, past relevant work, it has to be SGA. SGA is so relevant in so many different areas of your claim. So you've heard it a lot, and here it is again. SGA, substantial gainful activity. For your prior work to count as prior relevant work, it has to have been SGA. SGA is $1,350. That's likely going to take a little leap in 2023. Generally, it changes with COLA. So if we have a COLA, cost of living adjustment, it's going to change accordingly. When we don't have a COLA, it stays the same. But as you know, the vast majority of time we have a reasonable COLA. This year, it's probably not going to be reasonable, but at least that will benefit the people getting it because of inflation. So that's a good thing. I do have a video on that if you're interested. Okay, so again, this all concerns past relevant work at step 4 of the sequential evaluation process that will be had on your claim. So you really want to know what that's about. SGA being $1,350. By the way, for blind people, it's $2,260. They have a higher SGA. If you are over SGA for a sufficient period of time, that work's going to be considered, if it meets the other 2 criteria, past relevant work. But if you are working part-time and it's under SGA, under the $1,350 now, and that's gross before taxes, then you can defeat that as not being SGA. Not being past relevant work. What if you're slightly over SGA? Not much, but a little bit. It's like so frustrating because had you only known, you would have kept it under SGA. Because you're not able to work full time. So if you're going to work part time, you may as well do it smartly. And that's not pulling one on the system either, for the record. If you have impairment-related work expenses, and this is a whole nother topic, but I want to throw it in here because we're talking about SGA, and it is so critical because almost everybody has impairment-related work expenses, even if they're super tiny. The most basic one, and there's so many different kinds, but the one that applies to kind of everybody, not everybody, don't hold me to that, but most people, are your copays for your medications that are required to allow you to function the way you do, whether it's pain medications, anti-anxiety medication, whatever it is that helps control your impairments that would otherwise limit you more and prevent you from working. So those medications copays, assuming you have them, and if you're on Medicaid, you might not, but for everybody else who's on regular insurance or doesn't have insurance, keep these receipts perpetually, I'm going to say, because if you have to prove that months were not SGA, that appear to be SGA based on the numbers sent from the IRS, from your W-2s, tax returns, 1099s, etc., you can use those impairment-related work expenses, IRWs, as I like to say. They can get deducted, and that might pop you under SGA. There are a ton of, another one that's kind of standard would be copays for specialist visits, or if your PCP actually treats you for your impairment, and you had to go due to a reason of that nature, that might fly. But certainly specialty. So if you have a back specialist for your back, you're getting injections, the cost of the injection that comes out of pocket, and a copay for your specialist visit. So these things, if your specialist is quarterly, you see them quarterly or every 4 months, you may also be able to, and it really depends on how it works out, prorate that over the months in which that visit is supposed to cover, even though it happens on one day. The same might be true if you get a 90-day supply of pain medications, for instance. There are a lot of IRWs. Many of them don't apply to most people. That could be like a paid aid to help you do your job, that's medically needed, medically or vocationally, I suppose. The SSA provides a bunch of examples. It's probably not all inclusive, but you can find that. Keep that in mind when you're looking at your SGA. And this is particularly important for people who work part-time, and that's being considered initially past relevant work, and you want to get it out of there. Okay. So anyway, that's the 3. Recency test, 15 years. Duration, you have to have done it long enough. And SGA, you have to have done it and earned enough money doing it each month for it to not count as kind of de minimis work. Okay. So there you got it. Past relevant work, really, really important to your case. Know it, love it, learn it, and use it to your advantage. All right. You know where to reach me if you need me, and have a great day.